Welcome, everyone. For those of you who are new, I want you to give my audience an idea of what the Lolly Rose channel is about. This channel is an attempt for me to connect to my tribe, to create a space for our kind, a place for those of us with similar interests to connect. And to give you a little bit more about myself, I've been on a spiritual path for a long time, and for the large majority of my journey on this planet, I've had to keep much of what I experienced to myself. And the reason is the curious and the strange, and admittedly the woo-woo, have crossed my path. Many times I've been left with more questions than answers. And in terms of the things that have happened to me, some people might say it's simply perception, meaning the incidents, quote unquote, have a logical explanation. And I'm not entirely in disagreement. There's some things that have happened that are simply woo-woo, from the Twilight Zone, and the unexplained phenomena. And then there is those that can be open to interpretation. A logical mind can find an alternative reasoning. Yet there is something very important that you can't overlook. And that is your intuition. That still small voice that tells you there's much, much more than meets the eye. So in this channel, you will hear about the messages I receive in my dreams. Since we're connected as a collective, important messages for me are also important messages for my tribe and vice versa. So I encourage you to share yours as well. They're important. I will also try to share my experiences and what you can do in dreams, so that if you're compelled, you can try to work with your dreams. So there will be a whole section of what I'll be doing called Dream Work, and is going to give you very specific information about what's happening to me in dreams, what I'm doing with programs, parallel lives, how I'm experiencing the astral plane. And it's really also a place to share with each other. I'm also a great believer in the benefits of meditation. I've facilitated a group for 10 years. And I'm saddened to say that I although I plan to host my first live meditation tomorrow, I found out last night that I have some technical issues to work out first. So I would need to use my mobile device in order to do this live stream segment. And there's a requirement of at least 100 subscribers. And so far I have 25. I'm really happy with my 25 because at one point I had like 2. So 25 for me is a big deal. But this requirement plus some hardware software requirements as well are part of my technical issue, of which I will be able to work out. But the fact that I don't have 100 subscribers is really my stumbling block at this point. So, on that note, if you start to listen to my recordings and like it, please share my link with others and ask them to subscribe. And if you haven't subscribed and you're listening to this, please do. And I just want to take this moment to say thank you. I'm very grateful. So what else do I do in addition to dreams and meditations on the channel? I do weekly tarot readings for the tribe. And then just in general, I feel that sometimes I get very strong messages and I share what's happening. I share what I feel is relevant. This is a time where there is some incredible transits, planetary transits, cosmic and galactic movements that are pushing us to awaken. It's pushing us to ascend, and we need each other to try and figure these times out. So this is why there is this channel called Lolly Rose. So with that said, I'd like to share with you messages that I have received in the last 2 weeks in my dreams. I haven't shared these yet. Sometimes I share my dreams in writing. Sometimes I share them in just a message. I take the message, I combine it with what I'm receiving from my guides, and I share it. And I always hope they uplift you and inspire you. And sometimes I feel like the messages are very relevant to other people. That although they have meaning to me, and I feel like these hidden layers of meaning become evident with time, you're going to probably find your own meaning to them. It's probably going to speak to you in a very different way. So here we go. I'm going to state them like points. And just remember, I received these over the last 2 to 3 weeks of dreams and getting little clips of messages that come in very clearly, and they weren't enough content for like a whole segment. So I placed them all in this segment in the hopes that they're relevant to you. Bullet point number 1. Pay attention to how you're presenting yourself. Be specific about what you're doing and why. State your name and where you're from. So just as a side note, I want to say that I live in New York City. I'm originally born and raised in Puerto Rico. And I represent a very interesting melting pot of cultures and DNA. Just to give you an idea, I have Native American Taino, Eastern European Jewish, Basque, Celtic, Catholic roots, and who knows what else, because it's a lot of our ancestry that we don't know. Okay, moving on. Bullet point number 2. Declare your intent. Declare on every level what is your intent. Number 3. We're climbing levels. Continue to climb and state your intent. Number 4. There are different dimensions that you can visit in your dreams and spend time in. So I kind of went through them quickly because this idea of declaring your intent, every time you go to a different dimension or level, they're referring them to as levels. You need to state your intent again, because sometimes your intent changes, or you're interacting with possibly different guides. And for me, this is part of what you need to do before you go to sleep. Is not only saying you want to remember your dreams, but you also want to say what is it that you would like to do, because you don't have to do that right away. Once you start to remember your dreams, then you start to realize, if I have an intent, there is a way of directing my dreams. So just to give you an idea, I at one point wanted to communicate with certain teachers, and I asked to be able to connect with them, and I was able to do that. And I did it when I found myself in theta, which is in between being fully awake and being in a deep sleep. So sometimes you come out of your dreams. If you come out of your dream and you find that you're still you're in stillness. I was going to stay still in stillness, but that sounded strange. You're in stillness and you're in theta. You can make an intent. You can state something at that point and then just go back into the dream. Go back to sleep. If you can do that, then you can direct where you go. And it's very clear to me that we're entering dimensions. There are different dimensions that we're going into. And it's possible to discern which one you're in and where you want to go. Like once you know where you are, you could then ask to go somewhere else. So that was bullet point number 5. Bullet point number 6 is just reminding my audience that I've been having these multiple dreams about sensing states and levels. And what's important is while you're in your dream, see if you could take a moment to check your state and sense where you are. and try to climb to higher states and higher dimensions. And you do it by intending it. So that's bullet point number 6. Bullet point number 7, remember when dreaming, we're transitioning dimensions. So some of the things that I'm stating here as bullet points, sometimes they're clear messages. It's a message. When we are transiting dimensions, it's a clear message, a sentence that's fully formed, and sometimes I'm just relating an idea. Bullet point number 8, we need to learn how to be alchemists. We need to learn how to turn something base into gold. And this relates to the dream I had about an Egyptian scarab. And there was an exact message that came with that dream, but I haven't shared it. And this is the message. We have the power to take crap and create something sacred from it. We have the power to take something base and undesirable and create something sacred from it. Bullet point number 9. There needs to be a marriage or union between our female and male aspects. It's important for us to be open to a balancing of the dualities, to a return to zero. 10. Again, male, female, female, male. Seek balance between the dualities. There is something about it. We're reminded of the DNA helix, of the 2 snakes rising up to wings, or 2 snakes rising up to a scales, the scales of justice. It's the infinity sign, is the rising of the Kundalini. All these symbols have been coming in all my dreams for the last month. 11. Don't be afraid to ask questions. That was like a clear message. Don't be afraid to ask questions. So you can go into a dream and before you go into a dream or go to sleep, you could ask a question. Or if you have the ability to fluctuate between theta and delta, theta being in between sleep and wake and delta being very deep sleep, you can ask the question before you go back into delta. Or if you're having lucid dreams, you obviously can do it there. 12. Ask for beauty. Ask for beauty. And I felt that there's nothing wrong to ask for physical beauty and to be radiant and beautiful, and so much of it has to do with how we feel about ourselves. So to ask for it is not a bad thing. I think there's nothing wrong with that. I think we should all do that. But beauty also in the sense of inner beauty, right? To radiate from within. 13. Don't be afraid to say who you are. And here they were talking to me about my Native American roots. And it took me a long time to understand how important that part of me was. Because I didn't know until I was over 40 that I had Native American in me. And it wasn't... I think it's because my family looks so Spanish. On my mom's side, they look like Spaniards. But we have Taino in us, and they wanted me to stay that. They wanted me to say, I am Taina, soy Taina. And then they want everyone to honor their roots. So in addition to being Taina, I also have a child of the Holocaust, where my dad lost his entire family in the concentration camps. So I know that that's very important too. And there's something at the very end, there's something that came up last night specifically about all of these roots, cultures, religions, this melting pot of DNA and cultures that I represent. We'll talk about it later. 14. When you go into your dreams, you will get lots of signs. They're literally road signs and maps. Everything is pictured. And these pictures look different in the dream world, meaning the map is more like an album that flips up with pictures. And it isn't necessarily a map with roads. It's a map of pictures of our ancestors. So I guess in a way, the link that we have and in levels and in dimensions, you can access them through your ancestry, through your DNA. So you might want to look to see if you can connect to your roots in that way. Number 15. This was a message for me. And it was saying, I'm connected at the heart with my tribe, with my people. And the connection doesn't form in the same way that can be understood here on this 3D matrix. Because it's a beautiful, beautiful, deep, deep heart connection. And there's no way to translate that. Because things of the heart can't be translated. That was a message for me. And I'm thinking it's a message for all of us. 16. Some places that we're meant to work in are protected. It was shown to me in a riddle, as a riddle that you need to solve in order to get in. So I saw a place as a figure 8 hallway with many doors, and I'm guessing there were probably about 8 doors. And you need a password to get in. It's very cryptic, and it gives you access to a portal. So you need to first go through the doorway, which requires a password to enter a portal. And then bullet point number 7 is I was receiving a tour of this place, and it was referred to as a soiree. I kept getting the word constantly. That there is a soiree of words, ideas, and people. There's lots and lots of information coming in, lots of downloads. Now this one is really important. Not important. This one's really interesting. I woke up out of my dreams with the word Cassiopeia. Cassiopeia, which is a astrological word. It's a word from astrology. It's I probably should have written down a definition, but I'll talk about that later. You could look it up. It's Cassiopeia, Cassiopeia. The next point. You want to become an empty tunnel where the wind comes in and the wind comes out, and nothing stays in the tunnel. Flow, flow, flow. Point 20. I was shown a place, a sacred place to heal. Included in this place was a bed and breakfast, and I was told to call it La Hacienda. La Hacienda. It will be run by community, everyone doing everything. And this was the funny part, the last one. This morning, I said, it's like a diaspora in my head. It's like a diaspora in my head. And when I looked up the definition of diaspora, it's sort of like a place where people go when they're in exile. So it's, biblically, when you think about the Israelites being displaced outside of the promised land, that was a diaspora, or any displaced people, wherever they end up waiting wherever they are feeling displaced. That's called a diaspora. And I'm laughing about it because I was talking, a lot of my genetics, my ancestry is coming up, and I feel like within me I contain like a whole bunch of people who were displaced from the Taino Native Americans that this culture almost completely disappeared, and the Eastern European Jews were really dispersed throughout the world. Okay, so let's see. I want to talk next about this. The next time I talk about dreams, I like to describe a dream that I've been having that's very interesting. It's not a lucid dream and it's not a vivid dream. It's a dream where I'm actually aware that I'm trying to do something in the dream. And so there's an effort, almost as if I would do it, like if I'm trying to write a book or I'm trying to make coffee, let's say, in this dimension. I'm trying to do it there, but I'm working with an astral body and I'm having difficulty doing things. And the thing that's really interesting is that while this is happening, I don't even know I'm in a dream. In other words, just to give you like a quick glimpse, I'm cold and I want to close the window. So I get up to close the window and I find that I have no control of my body. Like I'm not able to see well and I'm not able to close the window. I'm having a lot of difficulty, almost as if my body's not cooperating with the idea, the signal of saying get up and close the window. And what I realized was, when this was happening, I didn't realize I was in a dream. I thought I was really trying to get up to close the window until I finally had a moment of frustration. And I said to myself, well, maybe you're dreaming. And then that's when I would wake up. And then I realized, oh, I was dreaming. And then I got up and closed the window. So I don't know what that is. I think it's experiencing the astral body. Maybe it's a start of working with the astral plane. Anyway, I hope I didn't bore you with all these points. And so soon I will be posting a recorded meditation, and I'll start to record of my first series of segments on dream work, how to work with your dreams. Okay, love to my tribe. So I just wanted to add at the end a little bit on Cassiopeia. It's spelled Cassiopea. And Cassiopeia is a constellation in the northern sky named after the vain queen Cassiopeia in Greek mythology. And of course, I did some research on whether there are Cassiopeian people out there trying to figure out that maybe it's a constellation that is somehow related to me. But anyway, just thought I would add that at the end. Love you guys.